In this video, we will discuss description keys. If you would like to follow along with this video, please open the file 0302 descriptionkeys.dwg located in the training folder as discussed in the Working with this dataset video. Description keys are used to map different point properties and settings based on a point's raw description. You can access description keys in the Settings tab, Point Category, Description Key Sets Collection, and the description key sets you create are located here. You can actually have multiple description keys based on different clients, different survey crews, etc. I'll right-click on it, and I will select Edit Keys. This opens up the description keys in the panorama window. Let's go ahead and turn Auto Hide off and examine the description key editor. There are many columns in the description key editor. Let's go ahead and discuss these right now. The codes are used during the import and creation process to match the description with the list defined in the active file. For instance, if the point's raw description matches the code, then the settings defined for that specific description key are applied to the point when it is created in the drawing. Description keys can contain characters, it is case sensitive, or wildcards that allow for more matching capabilities of the description key. The point style is the column that tells it what point style to associate when it creates that point based on the raw description. The point label style allows you to override the default point label style, which is defined in the active point group, if you so desire. The format column will convert the point's raw description into a full description, which can then be used for point annotation. So the default point code is $**, and what this one does is it just says whatever the code description is, just use that. So if you had a code that was just BKL for break line, it would show BKL. Notice how this one will be used when a raw code with BLDG is created in the file, and instead of BLDG, it'll actually put building in there. Notice that there are additional ones here that actually have a parameter defined in here. This actually tells Civil3d to apply the first parameter after the raw description and then add in whatever text you want. For example, this one here, because there's an asterisk after the actual raw description, it will bring in the raw description as well as any additional text. This is space delimited, and it'll use that first parameter as defined here to put a full description. So for example, in the field, they probably would have located a coniferous tree with the raw code conif space 12 inches. So the 12 would be added to the description because $1 is located there. You can combine different types of parameters wherever you want in your descriptions. For example, in the sign code, again, the asterisk tells AutoCAD Civil3d, take all of the full description, not just the raw code. And then this one here applies the actual first two parameters, space defined after the sign raw code. The layer column can override the point style so that you can actually use the layer freeze command to freeze your points. This is the recommended method by which to create points within your AutoCAD Civil3d drawing. There's also scale parameters such as this here, which tells Civil3d to use a specific parameter to scale an actual object. For instance, if I zoom into a tree here, you will notice that these trees are displaying at different sizes because Civil3d is using the first parameter, $1, to scale the actual block. There's also rotation parameters that you can define, as well as label rotation parameters. Let's go ahead and add a description key, and let's assume we actually forgot to include it in this file. When dealing with the panorama window, to create any kind of Civil3d objects or settings or styles, you simply right-click. So because I actually want to leverage some of the $sign parameters, I'm going to right-click on the sign one here, and I will say copy. For this one here, I want to create a combination pole. And as you can imagine, the combination pole may actually have multiple pole numbers as well as multiple, let's say, companies accessing the pole. So I'll just click in here, and the code that is based on our survey crew is COMB. I'll put the asterisk in there because we want to tell Civil3d to grab any of the additional description that is defined in the raw code. Then I want to tell AutoCAD Civil3d what style I want to use. I'll leave the default point label style. And then in the format column, what I want to add in here is the actual description called combo poll. And then I want to add in a pound sign to just say number $1, because our survey crews use the first parameter to put that in there. And then we'll just add in here $2 in case they actually add in the utility company that also accesses that utility pole. If there's no second parameter, Civil3d will simply ignore it. You can also add in additional ones. If I wanted to add $3, let's say there may be duplicate utility companies that access this utility pole. I'll make sure I actually have the correct layer as well. In this case, I grab the correct one, click OK. And just if I wanted to change any of the parameters or scale it, I could do those as well, but I will not do that in this case. Now, because we already have Civil3d points in our drawing, if you already happen to have a point in your file that uses that raw code, there's a way to actually apply description keys, which is really cool. I'll go to the Prospector tab, and although we have not discussed point groups, we will in a future video. I'm going to expand point groups, and every file always has an all points point group. So I'm going to right click on this, and there's an option to apply description keys. And when I do that, automatically, it will apply whatever description key I've set up in the file. Let's go ahead and look at the layer functionality as I mentioned before. I'm going to use the standard AutoCAD layer freeze command, and because I set this up properly with the description keys in here, I can actually use the layer freeze command to freeze automatically the points that I don't want to see and keep the ones that I do. So as you can see, I can minimize the points that I don't want to see by making sure this is set up correctly in the description key set. And then as far as the label display goes, the label is actually on a separate layer as defined by the point style. This concludes this video discussing description keys.